I tell you what blows my mind. An entire city, 18 levels deep, hidden beneath ordinary homes for centuries, up to 85 metres below the surface, engineered to hold as many as 20,000 people, along with their livestock, food stores, wine presses, chapels, and even schools. It's not a cave or a tunnel, but a city, built beneath the earth in what is now modern-day Turkey, and it's called Derinkuyu. This is the anomalous archives. So, in Turkish, Derinkuyu means deep well. A fitting name really, because at its core is a vertical shaft running deep into the earth, and it provides air, water and survival, basically the lifeline of an underground world. And for something this massive, its rediscovery was almost absurdly ordinary. So Derinkuyu wasn't uncovered during some grand archaeological expedition. It was rediscovered in 1963 because a man's chickens kept disappearing through a hole in his basement wall. When he knocked through to investigate, he didn't find his chickens. What he actually found was a tunnel. This tunnel, well, it led to something far older and larger and far more deliberate than anyone could have ever imagined. It makes me wonder if something this enormous could remain hidden behind an ordinary wall for centuries. What else might still be beneath our feet? To understand why Derinkuyu unsettles people, you have to first look at its scale. This wasn't a panic shelter. Derinkuyu descends roughly 85 metres beneath the surface, 18 levels deep, and it could shelter up to 20,000 people. 20,000, just think about that for a second. That's an entire town, underground, with livestock, food stores, supplies, not just for hours, not just for a night. Each level could be sealed independently, and massive circular stone doors rolled into place from the inside. And once they were closed, they were nearly impossible to move from the outside. You don't design doors like that to keep people out. You design them to keep something out. Narrow corridors force movement, deliberate choke points between chambers. Rooms were carved with purpose. Storage cellars and kitchens, stables and chapels, even what appears to have been a religious school. This wasn't chaos. This was a community designed to function below ground, not hide, but function. And the system connected to protected groundwater below. Fresh water even if the surface became inaccessible. Not inconvenient, but inaccessible. You don't plan for the surface to be inaccessible unless you believe that at some point it will be. Derinkuyu wasn't isolated. It was connected to other underground complexes in the region, including Cappadocia, through tunnels stretching up to 8 or 9 kilometres. 8 or 9 kilometres underground. Not a hiding place, a network. In my opinion, you don't build a network underground unless hiding once just isn't enough. So here's the official explanation. Historians place the earliest construction around the 8th or 7th century BCE, possibly by the Phrygians. During the Byzantine period, it was expanded, deepened, reinforced, built out over centuries, layer upon layer, generation after generation. Inside the chambers there is evidence of life. Pottery fragments, oil lamps, tools, storage jars and carved religious spaces have been found. Many of these date to the Byzantine era, roughly between the 5th and 10th centuries. So yes, people were down there, but not permanently. The mainstream view is simple. Derinkuyu was a refuge. During periods of invasion, Arab-Byzantine wars, Mongol incursions, later Ottoman tensions, Communities retreated underground until the danger had passed. Hide, wait, return to the surface. That's the explanation. Even as late as 1909, during regional violence, locals are recorded taking shelter in these chambers. For nights at a time, they refused to sleep above ground, which means this wasn't ancient history to them. This is where the explanation starts to strain. If Derinkuyu was only meant as a temporary refuge, then why build it at this scale? 18 levels, 85 metres deep, redundant ventilation systems, protected groundwater access, massive stone doors sealing each level independently, kilometres of connecting tunnels. That's not emergency shelter, that's designed to endure. Because building down isn't easy. It requires planning, labour, time and generations. You don't carve 18 levels into stone unless you believe the surface cannot be relied upon. Historians can point to periods of use, but the original scale and the original intention are still debated. And this is where the questions begin. If it wasn't meant for permanent life, why build it as though it was? Question: what were they preparing for? If Derinkuyu wasn't built for permanent life, what were they expecting? An invasion? Maybe. History gives us plenty of those. But invasions don't usually require 18 levels, redundant air systems, independent water sources, and kilometres of underground connections. That's not short-term hiding, that's contingency planning. So planning for what exactly? Some suggest a natural catastrophe, like a pole shift, or a solar flare maybe, or a flood capable of stripping the surface clean. Civilizations have vanished before, but there's another thread running through ancient records across the world. Cultures from India to Mesopotamia to Egypt describe battles in the sky. Weapons of fire, thunderbolts, flaming chariots, gods descending. Different continents, similar imagery. TV shows like Ancient Aliens have explored the possibility that our ancestors weren't describing mythology at all, but encounters with beings and technologies far beyond their understanding. Not gods or legends, but something tangible. If something catastrophic was happening overhead, the safest place wouldn't be a fortress, it would be underground. And then there's the deeper possibility. Derinkuyu wasn't isolated, it was part of a network. Multiple underground cities, kilometres of tunnels, some sections still only partially explored. And this is where Hollow Earth theory enters the conversation. For centuries, alternative thinkers have suggested that underground is not just empty rock, but layered, structured, possibly inhabited. Vast systems beneath us that we barely understand. Not metaphorical, but physical. It may sound extreme until you remember that an entire city lay hidden behind a basement wall until 1963. So maybe the real question isn't whether Derinkuyu was a refuge. Maybe it was a threshold, a contingency, an access point. Not an ending, but a junction. So were they hiding from something on the surface? Or preparing to survive something above it? Because if Derinkuyu was built in expectation of something catastrophic happening, it wasn't just a shelter, it was a warning. So what was Derinkuyu built to survive? A war? A natural catastrophe? Or something else entirely? You decide. I'm not here to tell you what to think, but I am here to ask the questions. And once you start asking them, it doesn't get simpler. you just end up going deeper down the rabbit hole. Thank you for sitting with me today on this deep dive of Derinkuyu. And if you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel.